Good morning, Board of Directors. My name is Narcisse Wilson. I'm a co-founder of Fire and Flavor Steakhouse, and this is my recommendation report. So, now for those that may not recall, just a little bit of background information on our company. This all started about 5 years ago, back in 2018, when 3 colleagues and I attended an entrepreneurship seminar and decided to combine our newfound knowledge for business with our previous experiences in the culinary arts. So, ultimately, what we wanted to do was create a fine dining experience that would far exceed the expectations of your ordinary steakhouse for as many people as possible, thus birthing Fire and Flavor. So, since our founding in 2018, flash forward to 2023, we've had major recent success here in Boca Raton, Florida. So much, in fact, that I've been requested by the board to explore greater opportunities beyond our current location. So for that, I'll be comparing the cities of Boca Raton, Florida, and San Antonio, Texas. So before I get into exactly why I've decided to use San Antonio, Texas, can anybody name for me the primary objectives of nearly every business to ever exist?
Make money. Make money.
Yes, very much so. It's to maximize our profits while minimizing our costs. And the information that I'll be sharing in my presentation today will reflect that San Antonio in the Lone Star State is a great opportunity in achieving both of those things. So while the progress of our business may have been slightly halted back in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we've since bounced back and recovered in a major way. And for those reasons, in order to ensure the continued success of our company, I recommend relocating Fire and Flavor Steakhouse from Boca Raton to San Antonio on the factors of our startup operational costs, the demographics, and the nature of the tax expenses. So starting with our startup costs, these are going to be a key factor to consider because they're going to directly affect how fast we can start generating a profit while spending the least amount of time and money in doing so. So to start, we noticed that the average price per square foot of commercial real estate in Boca Raton is $34.77 versus San Antonio having $28.97. So it'll be cheaper for us to rent our location. Also, the average price of electricity is about $1 cheaper per kilowatt in Texas. And while Florida does have the cheaper costs in trying to acquire all of the necessary health, safety, and food licensing and permits, we won't let that discourage us because we noticed that on the whole, the total average monthly cost of utilities in Texas is nearly $25 cheaper than the rate in Florida. This figure pulled from the Business Cost Index of 2021 not only visually represents the electricity rates that I just covered, but it also shows that there's the highest average annual wage in Texas, meaning there's a larger pool for disposable income. And it's also ranked Texas as #1 for business cost affordability, where Florida is ranked #8. Now, this figure pulled from the city data, when I did an advanced US city comparison of both San Antonio and Texas, really is a visual representation of just how much we can look to expand our profitability and growth in San Antonio. The blue area represents Boca Raton, with the red representing San Antonio, Texas. With a large more amount of territory being covered, it's only fair to assume that we would broaden our potential pool for customers and employees as well. So that leads me into the next factor of demographics. This figure pulled from the US Census Bureau reflects that the estimated population in Boca Raton, Florida is around just under 100,000 people, as where in San Antonio, Texas is nearly 1.5 million people. So we have plenty more people to reach out to with our business. And then also, the total percentage of the population and the workforce in San Antonio is 64.7% versus Florida's 57.7%. And when it comes to restaffing, this is going to be an important factor to consider because it would definitely simplify the process when having a larger labor force. And when talking about simplifying processes, I can think of one that comes around every year that we could all appreciate being a little bit simpler, which brings me into the third factor, taxes. So, with taxes, this is pulled from the taxfoundation.org, and it's a visual representation of corporate income tax rates by state. You'll notice that Texas has no corporate income tax versus Florida having a 5.5 income tax rate. And Texas also is important to note, it has no property tax. So the average real property tax rate in Florida is 0.98%, and even more so above average in Boca Raton at 1.12%. And taxes are always going to be an important factor to consider because they're directly going to impact our profit margins. The lower impact or the lower taxes that we incur, the higher profit margins we'll see for our business. Finally, or not finally, but while the research and data that I presented definitely shows promising opportunities in San Antonio, there are a few concerns worth addressing. So regarding our startup and operational costs, the process of getting healthy safety food licensing May also be difficult to navigate, time consuming, and is also more expensive in the state of Texas. But a solution I offer to this would be hiring a legal team to help us save time throughout this process, because the faster that we can get up and operational, the more likely we are to continue our expansion and growth and profitability. Regarding demographics, the Southwest is known to be a popular state as far as steakhouses as an attraction there. Also, the state of Texas is a very prideful state in that of itself. So we want to be careful that we're being culturally sensitive when providing our approach to a steakhouse restaurant in Texas. So a solution that I would offer to cultural sensitivity would be to conduct cultural sensitivity for training for the staff, and then also to look to incorporate local ingredients as well as local cooking techniques so we can keep from alienating our customers. And then finally, with the concern of taxes, as beautiful as it is to have a virtually non-existent tax rate in Texas, we all know taxes are susceptible to change at any time. So in the scenario where we were to incur a larger tax rate or a higher tax rate, we should look to develop effective ways to manage our expenses. This can be done through retraining the staff to better prevent wastage and spoilage of food, or we could even look to revamp our menu items to focus on more popular items and while discarding and properly attending to less profitable ones. On a final note, the state of Texas is a landfill with opportunity for our continued success and prosperity. So with a cheaper cost of doing business, a population of nearly 10 times the size of ours, and a virtually non-existent corporate income tax rate, Fire and Flavor Steakhouse relocating from Boca Raton to San Antonio is, simply put, a chance of a lifetime that is just too good to pass up. And I know that with the combination of all the minds on this board, as well as the previous external connections that we formed, we could be fully operational and profiting within roughly a month's time. So let's remember, folks, everything's bigger in Texas, including our ambitions for the success of our restaurant. So here's to a move as bold as our signature dishes, and I hope you will join me in making Texas our new culinary home. Am I referencing?